We're definitely in a really great place when it comes to the national conversation on climate change. It's becoming something that's very ingrained into our everyday conversations now. But I believe when we're having this conversation, very rare do we actually think about the smaller rural communities like Kinston. I was born and raised here in Kinston, so I've lived here almost 20 years of my life. Both my parents were born and raised here and decided to raise my siblings and I here in town. Kinston is located on the banks of the Neuse River, or the river actually splits through our town, and we're not too far from the North Carolina coast. So unfortunately, when a major hurricane decides to come up the East Coast and hit North Carolina, Kinston unfortunately gets a major blunt of the storm. However, it's the storm that's not the biggest actual disaster for us. It's the flooding that comes in the subsequent days. Whenever a hurricane hits and we begin recovering, we begin rebuilding again, we're finally able to take a breath. Another hurricane hits and we have to start this process all over again. So these are supposed to be 500-year floods that happen, once every 500 years. But what we're seeing is that we can have several of them happen within a span of less than 20 years. These are probably some of the most resilient people you will ever meet, because water reaches past these homes at times. Some people decide to rebuild and come back and live here and deal with the struggles. Then a lot of the homes just sit empty and stuff like this one. And much of this area was underwater when Fran and Floyd hit in the 90s, when Matthew and Florence hit in 2016 and 2018. So you can even see like some of the green on the side of the houses from where the water level once rose. This is my church conference's tabernacle here. It gets flooded year after year, but our church this is the area that it's been in for literally over 100 years, so they continue to rebuild here. If we didn't have to constantly spend money on rebuilding or recovering from these storms, it's money that can be used for, making sure the people of our community are meeting their needs. Young people could have scholarships from the church or something like that. There's so many other great causes that we can spend money on, but because of the impact of these storms, we're having to, focus on infrastructure and rebuilding our sanctuary. It's really hard to expect a community, especially a community that's already struggling, a community that's already very impoverished and at the top of the poverty level, to have a very large conversation about policy making and conceptual conversations about climate change, when again we're already, even before the hurricanes hit, we're struggling to figure out where is our shelter going to be, how are we going to get food, how are we going to pay our bills. I'm really interested in figuring out ways that my community can respond and recover from these disasters, ways that myself and other young people like myself can get involved in community development and economic development so that we can rebuild and recover from these disasters, and I can have those same fun experiences growing up in the community like my family did.